You guys already know this is the main one tapping in all the way from H-Town, Houston, Texas. I'm here with my boy T.A.G.
T.A.G. T.A.G, very nice, very evil.
Yeah, that's T.A.G shit.
The only thing we're gonna do is take over, baby.
Free fall as I die through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine.
What up, what up, what up, what up, and what up, T.A.G Nation? It's two-time, two-belt Scoot. Say the full name. And I'm here with another episode of that NXT.A.G. Now, as y'all saw, you saw that boy Zilla 2 in the new updated intro. Once again, shout outs to Zilla 2, man. Ran into him this past weekend at a convention. And coolest guy ever. And he was more than down to deliver that intro. Now, if you watch our review to WrestlePalooza and All Out, you will see it in full in totality. But Lip Dizzle made his magic to combine, Zilla into, with the rest of the intro. Bam, there you go. NXT.A.G. We doing this. Now, this is the episode before No Mercy, or in the wrestling business, the Go Home show. And pretty much, I enjoyed this month leading up to No Mercy because we legit had a good month to build these storylines. We had a month to build up Lacey versus Lola, a month to build up Ricky versus Oba, a good month to build up Tavian versus Ethan. Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe's been building since Evolution back in July. So I enjoyed that we had time to build these feuds, build these stories, and it wasn't one of them. All of these matches just magically happened a week or so before the PLE. So I am ecstatic that we actually had some build up rather than boom match, boom match, boom match. Wait, isn't the show next week? Yep, but boom match. So kudos this time around. But to kick this episode off, now remember last week on the Grayson Waller Effect, it was announced that Oba was going to be taking on Trick title for title. And pretty much throughout the show, pretty much throughout the rest of that NXT homecoming, there was mad TNA superstars voicing their displeasure. Well, today there was mad TNA superstars in the parking lot, backstage, in the arena, everything. But I'll let y'all know how that culminates later. But to kick off the show, we had Evan Bourne, Miles Bourne, and Alexis King. Shout out to Evan Bourne. If y'all remember Evan Bourne back in the E, Evan Bourne was that dude. That's Matt Sydal, but Evan Bourne. But shout out to Evan Bourne with that Floridian slip there. But Miles Bourne took on Lexis King in a lights out match. Now, not the type of lights out match that y'all typically see in AEW. This one was pretty much the lights was out. And they just had a spotlight shining on the superstars and pretty much anything goes. So it was kind of like a hardcore match in the dark, per se. And they even brought up on commentary that the last lights out match WWE did was Booker T and The Rock. So, but this match, once again, it was back and forth. Weapons, furniture, all of that. Miles Bourne did come out with the dub. They're still on the way to build up Miles Bourne. Now, what was interesting was Ethan Page, when he was coming to the ring, he walked by Miles Bourne, and Miles was kind of staring at him in that championship. Now, if we harken back, I can't remember which episode, but I did say I can see Miles Bourne being the one to take the belt off of Ethan Page. I'm just saying, somebody's listening. Somebody's listening. Now, of course, there's no slight to Tavion, but I'm just saying somebody's listening. Next, Steve, I cannot remember her last name. Stevie and Robert Stone, who was in the office because Ava is in London doing some type of business or whatever, and they was basically telling her that, hey, there's a bunch of TNA people here, and then she was all like, well, my phone is breaking up, I can't really hear y'all, this, that, and the third type of energy. But they was just trying to let Ava know that there are mad TNA wrestlers just kind of just walking around here. Like, did we necessarily invite them per se? Like, what's going on? But, so they was like, y'all figure it out, kind of energy, y'all handle it. I can't hear y'all, my phone's breaking up. So it was like, sure, Ava. Sure. Ava's just like, look, if anarchy breaks out, they can't say it was on me because I wasn't there. That's all that is. Liability. Ava say, I can't be blamed. I'm not there to hold things down. But next, like I said, Ethan Page walking by Miles Bourne. He comes to the ring and he was pretty much talking about how he's going to take care of Tavion at No Mercy. Then we see El Hijo de Wagner Jr. And he's in the crowd and he was mad at him because, he could have been a 2-belt champ, but, he retained at Worlds Collide. And, at any time he feel he can beat Dr. Wagner Jr. Well, El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. You got to kind of say the full name. Shout out to Kyle Fletcher. I know, different show, but hey, say the full name. So he jumps the barricade. And then Ethan Page was like, well, hey, we can go right now. Get a referee in. Both of them in their suits. Boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, El Hijo puts the ankle lock on Ethan Page. Ethan Page taps out. Then El Hijo unmasked himself, and they said, boy, Tavion Heights. So literally, Tavion just beat Ethan Page before No Mercy. So, if you follow wrestling logic, you know how that's about to go come Saturday. Yeah. Then we get a segment where Jordan Grace was backstage and she was looking at like a Blake Monroe vignette, and then she was like, whatever. And then Ariana Grace said something, and Jordan was like, so you're the other Grace who was kind of sucking up to Blake. And she was like, look, I wasn't trying to suck up. I was just basically saying we weren't related. I ain't want to get my ass beat because she heard the name Grace and thinking, all of us Graces are related type of energy. So Jordan was like, bet. Don't worry about it. We'll handle it up later on. And what I always find interesting, I can't remember what podcast I heard this on, but I find this very interesting, especially in WWE's case. I love how there's only like 2 or 3 matches advertised, and like all of these matches happen while the show goes on. It makes you feel like, hey, we had this 2-hour show with only 3 matches planned. Like literally, if you watch a bunch of Raws and SmackDowns and NXTs, sometimes main events pop up because of the first segment. And it was like, wait, y'all didn't have a main event planned? How else was y'all gonna fill this show? Please inform us. But shout out to that podcast that said that, because it was so much true. It was so very true. I want to say it was before the bell, but don't fully quote me on that. I love those guys over there, but I do find that funny with wrestling, that it's like, especially in WWE's world, that literally these matches can just pop up, and it was like, wait, was this shit not planned before? Like, well, what's going on? But like I said, I digress. We get the finals of the speed tournament. Candice LeRae, Laney Reed. Once again, remember the rules of the speed tournament or the speed matches. You got 3 minutes. And these ladies went at it for 3 minutes. Ultimately, Laney hits the Southern Hospitality, which is basically like a knee to the face. 1, 2, 3, she gets the dub. So she'll be taking on Sol Ruka at No Mercy for the Speed Championship. That's pretty much it to that one. And there was a moment before the match that Fatal Influence walked past her, and JC was kind of giving her like a pep talk about go out there and win and things of that nature. So nothing crazy. We get a Jada Parker segment, and she was pretty much talking about how Lash won, but who was on top, and pretty much she getting tired of Lash, and pretty much she gonna beat her ass. That next time they do this, she beating Lash's ass, and you can clock it. Yeah, we have a segment. We have a little moment with Lyra and Tatum. For some reasons, Lyra was backstage, and she was talking with Tatum, and they was having a moment. And eventually, the Cullen walks up, and was it the whole Cullen or was it just Izzy? I think it was the whole Cullen. Oh, it was just Izzy. Okay, Izzy walked up and pretty much was like giving her doll back and was like, "Look, I don't know why you even fraternizing with Lyra. She gonna leave you like she left you before. Pretty much, in the words of Bianca Belair, she don't even go here. So after this is over with, she going right back to Raw, and she gonna quote unquote leave you again. I ain't gonna leave you, so get away from her, kind of energy. Get away." And then, Lyra was stuck just looking, confused. She's dealing with what just happened with Tatum. She's been dealing with what's been going on with Bayley. So Lyra just all out of sorts. She don't know what to do. Chase U was backstage. They were talking, and pretty much they was talking about Andre Chase taking that ass whooping from Josh Briggs and how, beat up he looked. And then Dark State kind of comes up on them, and they started talking. Somebody said his name. Joe Hendry shows up, and pretty much it's going to lead into a 6-man tag. Dark State versus Joe Hendry, Uriah Connors, and I'm about to call that dude somebody else. Kale Dixon. Uriah Connors and Kale Dixon. I was about to say Clark Connors, but once again, that is Bullet Club War Dogs. But Clark Connors did have a brief stint in NXT. So there's that as well. Told y'all I've been watching this for a while. Then we get the Jordan Grace versus Ariana Grace. But once again, this match was just happened like 20 minutes ago. Like, it wasn't planned. 20 minutes ago. Bow, get your gear on. Let's do this. Jordan wins. I mean, this was a high functional squash match. I want to say this was Ariana's first time being on NXT TV in like a minute wrestling, but Ariana loses, and then when she gets out the ring, Stax magically appears. And funny enough, right, with this whole Stax thing, because we know that Stax and Ariana are engaged in real life. This is the thing, right? Is Stax still the Heritage Cup champion? Because last time we seen Tony D threw it in the river. So is Stax still the Heritage Cup champion? And where the hell is Tony D? Tony D had this Sopranos-like moment, and we still hadn't seen Tony D. So what's going on? And where is Luca? Now, if Luca has been in Evolve and Stax has been wrestling on Evolve, I don't know, because I haven't tapped in to Evolve, but I'm just wondering, where are these people? As we know, Tony D is presumed missing. What's going on in NXT? Where is Rizzo? Where is the Riz? She showed up that one time and basically announced that they should have a match to book. Where is the Riz? And like I said, unless Luca and the Riz have been doing the damn thing in evolution, Lord, on Evolve. But where are these people? What's going on? Where is the Heritage Cup Championship? Did they fish it out the river? Otherwise, that is polluting WWE. That is pollution. We still don't know if that title that Stone Cold threw in the water years ago is still there. I digress. After the match, Blake Monroe comes out, jumpsuit, trash can in hand, full of weapons. Jordan Grace grabs a chair. They get into it. Jordan Grace gets some chair shots in. Blake gets some kendo sticks in. They start scrapping. The ref security pulls them apart. Stevie Turner, that's her name. Stevie Turner and Robert Stone come out and basically was like, yeah, y'all gonna have a weapons match at No Mercy. And Robert Stone was like, nah, we gonna make it to where nobody can run or anything like that. Weaponized steel cage match. So there you go. There you go. Blake and Jordan are going to have a weaponized steel cage match at No Mercy. Then we get JC James. She basically was like, I'm going out there alone. And so she's basically, popping her shit, talking her shit. And then, eventually her opponent, Lola, comes out. And they started trading insults and barbs here and there. And then, of course, it led to JC kind of saying, hey, you're going to be the biggest disappointment to your parents type of energy. And then she, bow, spinning back fist. Later on, night. JC sleep. So, once again, No Mercy. Lola Vice challenging JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship. And we'll see where that goes. Josh Briggs had a segment where he was just pretty much kind of just, talking his talk pretty much about Javon, because I didn't know him and Javon were having a rematch at No Mercy. So maybe that was Briggs kind of halfway announcing it, and I just kind of didn't sort of halfway pay attention to it. I don't know. That could be on me. But yeah, Briggs and Javon are rematching it at No Mercy. And that was pretty much Briggs kind of talking his talk about, what he did to Javon and, things of that nature. So, yeah. Then we get the Dark State versus Chase U and Joe Hendry match. To be fair, this was a match. Like, they're really trying their best with Dark State. And I truly appreciate that they're trying their best with Dark State. The issue I'm going to have with them doing with Dark State is you keep trying to find all of these people to pair up to fight Dark State. Because we know Osiris and Dion are the champs. But you keep having these multi-man matches so you can feature either Saquon or Cutler. This time it was Saquon. It was Saquon, Dion, and Osiris taking on Chase U and Joe Hendry. Now, if Andre Chase was medically cleared, it probably would have just been a full 4-on-4. But yeah. But of course, chicanery shenanigans are, as Yeager likes to quote from Simon Miller, DIC, distractions, interference, and confusion. Dark State does get the dub. I mean, yeah. Then we get a pretty nice little Ricky Saints vignette. And, he was pretty much back at home in New Orleans, letting us know where his childhood home was at. Unfortunately, it got washed away during the storms and things like that. And he was pretty much letting the people know that, with all the sacrifice, with all the things that's going on, I'm trying to become champ. Trying to become champ in this thing. Then we get a segment where I think it was Sarah was talking to Javon, and before he could really talk, we hear some commotion. Then we see Jasmine Nix laid out, and then Fallon and JC come up and was like, "What happened?" Fallon was like, "Look, I left for like a minute," and then JC was like, "You know what? She wasn't tough enough anyway." So pretty much, literally right then and there, they just kicked Jasmine Nix out the group, and it was like, "Yo, wait." Like your girl gets jumped by somebody, and y'all and JC was like, only the strong survive around here type energy. And then literally Fallon kind of looked and was like, I bet. And they just like walked off. Hey, I'm about to say a real deep cut type reference. It reminded me of when Destiny Child performed on 106 in Park. And Michelle fell, and Beyonce and Kelly had to just keep going with the performance. If you know, you know. That's what that felt like. Like, well, she gone. Like, they ain't try to check on her or nothing. They were just like, well. But yeah. Now we get to our main event, title for title, Big Over, Trick Willie, NXT, TNA. One man is going to leave out with both. Now, before the match really got started, TNA Superstars was just all through the in the crowd and just, you know, waiting there. And then eventually during the match, Mike Santana comes out the crowd, gets in Trick's face, and then he proceeds to be on commentary. Now, kind of like what I said on TMI last week, I knew this match wasn't going to end with a winner because this partnership at times, or I should say at times now, is starting to feel one-sided because you had Trick and you had JC winning TNA championships. Nobody from TNA has won an NXT championship. TNA is a whole ass company. Like, they're not like a brand. TNA is a whole ass company, and at times they're kind of like being jobbed out to NXT. I can see if it was WWE, they was being jobbed out to per se, kind of like when Randy Orton beat Joe Hendry at Mania. But no, it's like the developmental talent is bodying TNA. Like, I'm wondering where's the payoff? When's the payoff gonna be for, I guess, TNA to get their get back? But eventually Trick Willie gets into Santana's face. Santana punches Trick Willie, and then it just leads to a brawl. All the TNA people jump the barricade. NXT people jumps the barricade. And not jump the barricade. They come from the back. Why would they come out through the crowd? And you get what I'm saying. It just led into a whole brawl. Then I love the way it was shot. If you didn't see the episode, I don't know how you can go watch NXT after it's been shown. But if you could find the ending part, during all the chaos, Ricky Saints with his cool ass just come walking to the podium where the championship is at, and he didn't fully pick up the belt, but he grabs the belt like, ooh, hey, your boy can get used to this. And then you just see Oba's just hand just no. He gets up, picks up his championship, and then Saints and Oba has this stare down while the NXT and TNA locker room is just fighting. So as you can see, I know the picture ain't the best, but as you can see, you see Cedric Alexander, Matt Cardona, Moose, Mance Warner, formerly Xia Li, I don't remember what her name is in TNA. but you see Zaya Brookside, you see Zach Wentz, you see Frankie Kazarian, like you see some TNA alum, and I don't think, and I think there were more. I know Steph DeLander was there, which she's probably there somewhere. Inspiration. So as you can see, some TNA folk was there. And that's pretty much how the show ended. Like I said, mainly with Saints and Oba having that stare down. Like I said, it was a pretty cool little image to see that stare down while all that chaos was going on. So that's pretty much the go home show going into No Mercy. And the next NXT.A.G, like I did before, I'm going to be weaving in the results of No Mercy along with the fallout from Tuesday's NXT. But we know Halloween Havoc is the next PLE in October. And I wonder, is either that or something's going to happen where there's going to be an NXT versus TNA situation. So I don't know if it's going to go down at Halloween Havoc or they're going to, save it for November, because technically I know Ashley was saying War Games, but War Games was kind of taken from NXT. So we shall see. I ain't mean to make none of that rhyme. But to give that kind of preview, we do have, once again, overtaking on Ricky Saints for the NXT Championship. JC Jane is taking on Lola Vice for the NXT Women's Championship. Sol Ruka defending her Speed Championship against Laney Reed. Jordan Grace versus Blake Monroe in a weaponized steel cage. Ethan Page is defending his North American Championship against Tavion Heights. And we got Javon taking on Josh Briggs. That is your No Mercy card. I don't know whether there'll still be some TNA shenanigans or interference in that, but once again, we will see, and I'll let y'all know come next Tuesday. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. I much appreciate it. It's NXT, y'all. I love this more than I love WWE, more than I even love AEW. I love me some NXT, y'all, and I love talking about it. And if you like to hear me talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Like, comment, share, subscribe if you hadn't to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified for all the goodies on the channel. Like I said, right now we got the WrestlePalooza and the All Out review. TMI, we normally shoot it on Thursdays, and it's normally up on Fridays. It's all just type of goodness all throughout the channel. Shout outs to the rest of the tag brethren, and shout outs to y'all. Shout outs to y'all out there. Love one another, love yourself, take care of one another, and take care of yourself. And until next time, you beautiful people out there, don't forget to tag out. Peace.
Free fall as I dive through the kaleidoscope in my mind. No rope up to climb. Gotta remind myself that I'm fine. Mama